Apparently, when your boss texts, "We need to discuss your performance," she means, "I've been sleeping with your boyfriend and we're tag-teaming your termination." Monday, March 17th. The text arrived at 11:47 a.m. while I was elbow-deep in cable management for the Healthcare Innovation Summit happening downstairs. Sabrina Yates, my boss, and I use that term loosely because calling her a boss implies competence, never texted me directly. She usually communicated through passive-aggressive post-it notes left on my workspace like some sort of corporate fortune cookie from hell. Urgent meeting performance review, main control room, 2 p.m. sharp. SY. Performance review? I'm Beatrix Locke, 27 years old, and I've been the senior AV specialist at Paramount Events and Conference Center in Orlando for 3 years. I make corporate events happen. When executives want their PowerPoints to actually work, when conferences need flawless video feeds, when someone needs to troubleshoot why the CEO's microphone sounds like he's gargling gravel, they call me. I'm the reason this place functions. My performance is literally keeping this building operational. But fine. Whatever power trip Sabrina needed today, I'd endure it. The woman peaked as a LinkedIn influencer posting motivational quotes over stock photos of women laughing at salads. Her entire career trajectory was, "Daddy's an investor. Here's a 6-figure management position you're wildly unqualified for." She wore blazers with designer sneakers like it was revolutionary instead of what every try-hard corporate climber in Central Florida does. I finished crimping an HDMI connector, wiped my hands on my cargo pants. Yes, cargo pants. Because I need pockets for actual tools, not aesthetics. And headed upstairs. The main control room is my kingdom. 14 monitors spanning 2 walls, server racks humming with the combined processing power of a small country, mixing boards that cost more than most people's cars. This is where I orchestrate everything. Every camera feed, every microphone channel, every presentation screen in every conference room. It all runs through here. Through me. I punched in my biometric code. The door clicked open. And there, sitting in my ergonomic chair like he owned the place, was Irving Palmer, my boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend? The timeline was about to get real clear, real fast. He had that smile. That car salesman, toothpaste commercial. Let me tell you about our financing options. Smile that I apparently mistook for charm 6 months ago. Irving sold luxury vehicles at a Mercedes dealership in Winter Park, which he somehow parlayed into thinking he understood high-stakes business negotiations. He didn't. He understood extended warranties and undercoating upsells. Honey. As Sabrina materialized from behind a server rack, her voice dripping with a sympathy so fake I could taste the artificial sweetener. She'd never called me honey in 3 years. I was usually Beatrix when she was annoyed, or the tech girl when she was talking to clients. My stomach dropped straight through the floor. Irving came to me with some concerns. She crossed her arms, her Cartier bracelet catching the monitor light. About your emotional stability, your mood swings, the accusations you've been making. Accusations? I'd asked Irving why his regional sales training in Tampa last month coincided with Sabrina posting Instagram stories from a beachfront restaurant with a mystery dinner companion, whose watch I recognized because I bought him that watch for his birthday 2 months ago. He thinks, and I agree, that you might benefit from some professional help. Sabrina tilted her head with practiced concern. Mental health is so important, B. And maybe some time off. A sabbatical to work on yourself? Irving nodded solemnly, like he was doing me a favor. Like this intervention was about my well-being and not about the fact that I'd walked into whatever soap opera these two had been filming behind my back. The pieces assembled themselves with brutal clarity. The late meetings, the suddenly password-protected phone, the way Sabrina started requiring my presence at off hours for emergency equipment checks that never materialized, keeping me away from company events where Irving would conveniently show up as her +1. I should have been angry, devastated, crying probably. Instead, I felt this strange, cold calm settle over me like someone had lowered my core temperature by 10 degrees. Sabrina. My voice came out steady, controlled. You know what I do here, right? She blinked, confused by the non-reaction. You're our AV technician. I control every single system in this building. I gestured to the wall of monitors behind me. Every camera, every microphone, every display screen, every streaming feed, everything. Irving shifted uncomfortably. Good. Including, I continued, pulling out my tablet, the video conferencing system for the quarterly stakeholder meeting happening right now in Grand Ballroom A. You know, the one with 300 corporate clients watching the institutional presentation? The color started draining from Sabrina's face. Slowly, like someone had pulled a plug. And here's what's actually hilarious. I pulled up my tablet, tapping through folders with deliberate calm. Last week, I installed a system-wide security update, part of my job. Very thorough. I upgraded all the surveillance cameras, including the hidden security camera in your office. I watched her process this. Watched the exact moment her brain caught up to where this was going. The camera, I clarified, that's been recording everything since February, including March 10th, around 7:15 p.m., when you two decided my relationship was worth approximately 45 minutes on your Italian leather couch. Irving stood up so fast the chair rolled backward into a server rack. You're blowing this out of... I have it in 4K. I turned the tablet toward them. There they were, time-stamped, high definition, unmistakable. Professional misconduct captured in crystal clarity. Kissing, intimate contact, behavior decidedly incompatible with quarterly projections. With metadata and geolocation data. And it's beautiful, really. The resolution is incredible. Sabrina found her voice. You can't. That's illegal recording. Security cameras in private offices where company assets are stored? Completely legal. You signed the updated security policy last month. Remember? The one you didn't read? I pulled up the live feed of Grand Ballroom A on my main monitor. 300 faces, all politely pretending to care about Paramount's commitment to excellence and innovative event solutions. The presentation was on slide 17 of 34, boring as expected. Here's what's great about my job. I positioned my fingers over the control board. I control what displays on every screen, including the 70-foot projection screen currently showing corporate propaganda to 300 people. Beatrix, Sabrina's voice cracked. Don't. Oh, I absolutely am. I cued the video file. One click to replace the feed. You see, when you tried to have me committed for emotional instability to cover up your affair with my boyfriend, you made one critical mistake. My finger hovered over the confirm button. You forgot I'm the only person in this building who knows how everything works. Irving lunged toward the control panel. Too late. I hit execute. On the monitor, the boring corporate slide dissolved, replaced by crystal-clear footage of Sabrina and Irving in her office, decidedly not discussing quarterly projections. Professional boundaries violated in high definition. The audio cut in. Every single sound. 300 people. Watching. Live. And just so we're clear, I said over the erupting chaos on the monitor, that meeting you're interrupting. Corporate compliance conference. Half those people are employment lawyers. Sabrina's legs actually buckled. The walkie-talkie on the desk exploded with panicked security chatter. I locked the control room door. Biometric access with administrative override that takes priority over standard clearances, and calmly picked up the internal phone. Hello, Director Morrison. Beatrix Locke. We need to talk about a major HR violation. Director Morrison picked up on the third ring. Beatrix? I'm getting calls about the broadcast. I know, sir. I'm the one who changed it. Calm. Professional. Like I was reporting a routine equipment malfunction instead of corporate nuclear warfare. I need to report a serious HR violation involving Sabrina Yates and her use of company facilities for personal misconduct. Behind me, Sabrina was pounding on the locked control room door. Through the reinforced glass, I could see security guards arriving, confused about why they couldn't override my biometric lock. They couldn't. I designed the system. I'm not just the person who runs the equipment. I'm the person who installed it, programmed it, and holds every single administrative password with override authority. The footage currently displaying, I continued, is from our security camera system. Time-stamped March 10th at 7:15 p.m. Ms. Yates has been conducting an affair with Irving Palmer, my boyfriend. using company property during business hours. I have documentation of multiple incidents over the past 6 weeks. Irving was on his phone, presumably calling someone who couldn't help him. His hands were shaking. The confident car salesman bravado had evaporated faster than his commission-based ethics. Additionally, I added, watching the monitor as 300 corporate compliance professionals scrambled for their phones, Ms. Yates just attempted to terminate my employment under false pretenses of mental instability to cover up said affair. I have her text message requesting this meeting, and both of them are currently in the control room as witnesses. Don't move. Don't touch anything else. I'm coming up. Morrison disconnected. Sabrina finally stopped pounding. Her voice came through the door, shrill with panic. Beatrix, please. We can talk about this. I can explain. Explain through the door, Sabrina. I'm comfortable here. I leaned back in my chair, pulling up the security feed of the hallway. 8 security guards, 2 executives I didn't recognize, and Morrison speedwalking toward the control room like his reputation depended on it. Which it did. The walkie-talkie chatter was spectacular. Need to cut the main feed. Who authorized this broadcast? Legal is online too. Clients are leaving. Actually, the clients weren't leaving. I pulled up the ballroom camera feed on monitor 3. 300 people stood frozen, phones out, recording the screen. Because humans are predictable. You show them a corporate scandal in real time, and suddenly, nobody cares about leaving. They care about being the first to post it. Irving tried a different approach. Baby, this is insane. You're destroying your career. My career? I laughed. Actually laughed. Irving, I'm the only person in this building who understands how the infrastructure works. I'm the only one who knows where the servers are, how the fiber optic network routes, which breaker controls what system. They literally cannot operate without me. You, on the other hand, sell cars. And buddy, your dealership is about to see this video because I guarantee someone in that ballroom knows someone who knows someone at Mercedes Winter Park. His face went gray. You wouldn't. I didn't have to. The internet does that part for free. Morrison reached the door. Beatrix, open this door. I unlocked it. Biometric pad chirped green. He stepped in alone, shutting it behind him before security could follow. Morrison was 50-something, former military. Ran paramount like a tight ship. He looked at the monitors, at Sabrina and Irving, at me sitting calmly with my tablet, and I watched him calculate the situation faster than most people calculate tips. Tell me everything. He crossed his arms. And I mean everything. So I did. 6 months with Irving. The weird schedule changes. Sabrina's sudden interest in keeping me occupied during evening events. The Instagram stories. The locked phone. The text this morning, the ambush meeting, the threat of forced medical leave, the security footage I'd archived. All of it. Morrison listened without interrupting. His jaw tightened when I mentioned the forced medical leave threat. That was illegal territory, and he knew it. Show me the original footage. I pulled up the unedited security file. Time-stamped March 10th, 7:15 p.m. entry, 7:18 p.m. office access. Geotagged, crystal clear. Professional misconduct without question, but nothing explicitly sexual. Kissing, inappropriate physical contact, behavior incompatible with workplace professionalism. How long has this been recorded? Security camera went live February 28th as part of the system upgrade. This incident occurred March 10th. I have documented 12 other instances of Ms. Yates using her office for personal entertainment with Mr. Palmer during business hours between February 28th and March 15th. Sabrina found her voice. This is entrapment. She set this up. You signed the security policy update. Morrison didn't even look at her. February 25th. It explicitly states all offices containing company assets are subject to video surveillance. You approved it. I didn't read? That's not a legal defense, Ms. Yates. Irving tried to slip toward the door. Morrison blocked him with one step. Mr. Palmer, stay. The ballroom feed showed people still recording, still watching, still definitely not leaving. Someone had pulled out a laptop, probably already uploading to Twitter. The compliance lawyers in the room looked simultaneously horrified and professionally fascinated. Morrison pulled out his phone. Legal. I need you in main control immediately. And get HR. We have a situation. He hung up, looked at me. The broadcast. Can you end it? Do you want me to? He considered this. Actually considered it. How bad is the damage? To the company? Minimal. This is Sabrina's misconduct, not institutional failure. To her? Terminal? To Irving? His dealership will probably fire him by close of business today. To me? I gestured at the equipment around us. I just proved I'm the only person who can manage this facility's technical infrastructure, and that I don't tolerate being gaslit. Morrison almost smiled. Almost. End the broadcast. Switch back to the presentation. I did. One click. The ballroom screen returned to boring corporate slides. The damage, however, was extremely done. 300 phones had recorded approximately 4 minutes of high-definition evidence. The internet never forgets, and corporate compliance professionals definitely don't delete. Ms. Yates, you're suspended effective immediately pending investigation. Morrison's tone could cut steel. Mr. Palmer, you're banned from this facility. Security will escort you both out separately. You can't, Sabrina started. I absolutely can. And if you fight this, I'll make sure every event coordinator in Central Florida knows why you were terminated. He opened the door. Security flooded in. Remove them. Separately. Different exits. Watching Sabrina get escorted out by the same security team she used to boss around was satisfying in ways I couldn't articulate. Irving didn't even look at me as they marched him toward the service exit. Morrison stayed. You know you just made yourself either unfireable or unemployable. I'm betting on unfireable. Smart bet. He looked at the monitors, at the systems only I understood. Legal will want statements. HR will investigate. This is going to be complicated. I have documentation for everything. I believe you. He headed for the door, paused. The security camera footage. Is it backed up? 3 separate encrypted servers, plus cloud storage. Time-stamped and tamper-proof. Good. He left. I sat alone in my control room, surrounded by humming servers and blinking equipment lights. My phone buzzed. Text from my best friend Cora. Did you just nuke your boss on a jumbotron? Apparently, the video was already circulating. 300 people with phones meant 300 potential uploads. Twitter was probably exploding right now. I typed back. Technically, it was a 70-foot projection screen. But yes, the compliance conference was still running downstairs. I had 3 more hours of technical support scheduled. Because professionalism matters, even when you're committing tactical career warfare. I pulled up the event schedule, confirmed audio levels, checked backup systems, and waited for legal to arrive with their questions. This was going to be one spectacular week. Legal arrived 20 minutes later. Patricia Hendricks, 42, corporate attorney who'd handled our contracts for 5 years, walked in with a leather portfolio and the expression of someone who'd just watched their Monday explode into a liability nightmare. Behind her came Rachel Drummond from HR, 38, who always looked mildly disappointed in humanity's life choices. Beatrix. Patricia sat down across from my workstation. Walk me through what happened. Start from the beginning. So I did. Again. But this time I had my phone out, showing them the progression of Sabrina's Instagram stories from the past 6 months. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Romantic dinner with Mystery Man at the Boheme, a restaurant in downtown Orlando, where entrees start at $45. Irving told me he was visiting his sister in Jacksonville that night. Except Irving's phone location data, we shared Find My Friends, which he'd forgotten, showed him in Orange County, not Duval County. The sister in Jacksonville was the first lie that made me start documenting everything systematically. I started tracking inconsistencies in mid-February, I explained. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I'm technical. I noticed patterns. Data anomalies. Irving's schedule stopped making sense mathematically. Rachel took notes. What do you mean? He claimed regional sales training in Tampa every Thursday for 6 weeks. But Mercedes corporate training happens quarterly, not weekly. And their Tampa facility doesn't run evening sessions, which is when he said his classes were. I checked. I called the training center pretending to be his assistant confirming his schedule. Patricia's eyebrow raised. And? They had no record of him. So either my boyfriend was lying about work training, or he was spectacularly bad at his job. Given that he consistently made sales quotas, I eliminated option 2. Rachel wrote something down. Probably subject shows obsessive documentation tendencies. I didn't care. Obsessive documentation was about to save my career. Then Sabrina started requiring my presence for equipment checks that never materialized, I continued. 12 separate instances between late February and mid-March. February 28th, March 3rd, March 5th, March 7th, March 10th, March 12th, March 13th, March 14th, March 15th, March 16th, plus 2 additional incidents in late February before the security cameras went live. Always during evening events where executives bring guests. I'd show up, she'd tell me false alarm, send me home. Meanwhile, Irving would text saying he was stuck late at the dealership. Establishing alibis, Patricia said. Exactly. Except I control building security. On March 10th, I checked the access logs after I left. Irving's guest badge was scanned into the executive wing at 7:15 p.m. Sabrina's office door access logged at 7:18 p.m. Both of them. The security camera footage I showed today was from that evening, starting at 7:18 p.m. Rachel looked up from her notes. You said 12 instances. The security cameras went live February 28th. That's only 12 days before today. Correct. 12 documented video instances between February 28th and March 16th. That's roughly 1 incident every day and a half, concentrated during evening events. Before February 28th, I only have circumstantial evidence, Instagram posts, location data, access logs without video confirmation. Patricia made a note. How did you know to install cameras in her office specifically? I didn't. The security upgrade included cameras in all executive offices containing sensitive equipment worth over $5,000. That's standard security protocol. Sabrina's office qualified because she has high-end computer equipment, client contract files, and access to financial systems. It wasn't targeted. It was comprehensive. Rachel leaned forward. And the policy notification? I pulled up my tablet, showing them the digital signature log. All department heads received the updated security policy February 20th, with a signature deadline of February 27th. Sabrina signed hers February 25th at 3:42 p.m. I have the timestamp. Section 4, paragraph 2, subsection C explicitly states, all company offices containing sensitive equipment, documents or assets exceeding $5,000 in value are subject to video and audio surveillance for security purposes. She can't claim she didn't know, Patricia said. She can claim she didn't read it, but that's not a legal defense. I pulled up another spreadsheet. Here's the comprehensive documentation. Dates, times, access logs, corresponding Instagram posts from Sabrina's public account, Irving's location data, credit card receipts I saw at his apartment, 12 video documented instances, 5 additional suspected instances before cameras were active, supported by access logs and location data. Rachel's phone buzzed. She read the message, face darkening. Sabrina just retained legal counsel. They're threatening to sue for unlawful termination and emotional distress. I laughed. Couldn't help it. She signed a morality clause in her employment contract. Any conduct that damages company reputation or misuses company resources is grounds for immediate termination without severance. How did you... Rachel started. I briefly dated someone in HR 2 years ago. We broke up amicably, stayed friends. She might have mentioned where employment contracts are filed, hypothetically. I verified Sabrina's contract this morning before the meeting. Patricia made a note. That's not admissible evidence of how you knew. But the contract itself is admissible and accurate. Check Section 9. Rachel pulled out her laptop, typed rapidly, pulled up what I assumed was Sabrina's personnel file. Her expression shifted from skeptical to resigned. She's right. Morality clause. Standard for management positions. Additionally, I continued, Sabrina attempted to coerce me into medical leave under false pretenses this afternoon. I have her text message demanding the meeting, Irving's admission that he came to her with concerns about my stability, and both of them as witnesses to the conversation. That's constructive dismissal and disability discrimination. I'm 27 with no medical history of mental health issues and no documented performance problems. Any competent attorney will shred her case. Patricia and Rachel exchanged looks. The kind of looks that meant I'd just flipped their disaster into my advantage. The broadcast to the conference, Patricia said carefully. That was unauthorized use of company equipment. To expose unauthorized use of company equipment and facilities, I'd argue proportional response to prevent illegal termination, but I'm not a lawyer. I pulled up another file. However, I did record the entire conversation in the control room. Florida's a two-party consent state, but both Sabrina and Irving knew they were in a monitored space. The red recording light is visible on all security cameras per state law. They consented by entering. Additionally, Section 12, Paragraph 5 of the AV Operations Manual states all technical operations are logged for quality assurance and liability protection. Rachel rubbed her temples. You recorded the conversation where they tried to force you into medical leave. I record everything in the control room. It's policy. Patricia laughed. Actually laughed. You're terrifying. I'm careful. My phone buzzed. Text from Cora. Irving's dealership just fired him. It's all over their internal Slack. My boyfriend works there. I showed them the text. Irving's employment status just changed. Rachel sighed. Because of the video. Because 300 corporate professionals watched him conduct an affair with his girlfriend's boss using company facilities, then try to gaslight said girlfriend into thinking she was mentally unstable. That's not great for a luxury car brand's image. Patricia closed her portfolio. Here's what's going to happen. HR will conduct a formal investigation. You'll provide all documentation. Sabrina will likely be terminated for cause with no severance. Irving is no longer our concern. The video broadcast was problematic but defensible given the circumstances and your reasonable belief that illegal termination was imminent. However, you cannot do anything like this again. Wasn't planning on it. I generally only nuke one cheating boyfriend and corrupt boss per calendar year. Rachel almost smiled. You'll need to write a formal statement. Everything you told us, documented with evidence. I have it prepared. Emailed it to myself 3 hours ago with encrypted attachment. Of course you did. Patricia stood. You're either going to run this company someday or accidentally destroy it. I can't tell which. Option 1 sounds better. They left. I checked the compliance conference feed. Winding down, attendees leaving. Nobody seemed traumatized. My phone exploded with texts. Friends who'd seen the video already circulating on Twitter. Former co-workers. My mom asking if I was okay, and also, what on earth did you do, Beatrix? Director Morrison appeared in the doorway. Legal just briefed me. You're not fired. I assumed. You're also not promotable right now. Too controversial. Understandable. Give it 3 months. Let this settle. Then we'll talk about management positions. He paused. Assuming you want to stay. I looked at the monitors, the equipment, the systems I'd built. I like it here. Good. Because finding someone who understands this infrastructure would take 6 months and twice your salary. He left. I sat in my control room, surrounded by proof that I was absolutely, completely indispensable. And honestly, that felt better than any revenge. Wednesday, March 19th. 48 hours after the broadcast heard round the corporate world, and the consequences were rolling in like Florida thunderstorms in August. Predictable, dramatic, and absolutely devastating to anyone caught outside without protection. I arrived at Paramount at 7 in the morning, same as always. Cargo pants, tool belt, coffee from the Wawa down the street because I'm not paying $6 for Starbucks when I need caffeine. Not an experience. The lobby was different, though. Whispers stopped when I walked past. Eyes tracked me like I'd grown a second head or maybe sprouted corporate warfare superpowers. Tammy from accounting actually gave me a thumbs up. Saw the video. She had it coming. Word travels fast when you publicly expose your boss on a 70-foot screen. Word travels faster when that video gets uploaded by 300 people within hours. By Monday evening, it had 40,000 views on Twitter. By Tuesday morning, it made Reddit. By Tuesday afternoon, someone had created a reaction video with commentary. By Wednesday morning, I was apparently a folk hero to scorned employees everywhere. My phone had been a nightmare. Messages from people I hadn't spoken to since high school. A reporter from the Orlando Sentinel asking for an interview. 3 job offers from competing event venues who apparently valued both technical competence and the ability to torch bridges with surgical precision. I ignored all of it. Director Morrison called me into his office at 8:30. Patricia Hendricks was already there, along with Rachel Drummond and someone I didn't recognize, a woman in her early 50s wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly rent. "Beatrix, this is Helen Voss," Morrison said. "She's on Paramount's board of directors." Damn, my stomach dropped about 3 floors. Board of directors meant this was either really good or catastrophically bad, and the odds weren't in my favor. Helen gestured to a chair. "Sit, please." I sat, kept my face neutral. My dad taught me poker when I was 12, and the first rule is never show your hand before you know what game you're playing. "I've reviewed everything," Helen said. "The security footage, your documentation, the access logs, the timeline. It's remarkably thorough." "Thank you." I didn't say it as a compliment. "You essentially conducted a 6-week counterintelligence operation against your supervisor using company resources." "Fair point. I prefer to think of it as defensive documentation against workplace harassment and illegal termination." Patricia coughed. Might have been hiding a laugh. Helen pulled out a tablet, turned it toward me. "Sabrina Yates has retained Marcus and Levine, a firm that specializes in employment litigation. They're claiming you engaged in premeditated harassment, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They're seeking $2 million in damages." The number hit like a physical thing. $2 million. My entire net worth was maybe $35,000 if you counted my used Toyota and the 401k I'd barely started. "However," Helen continued, and that word carried a lot of weight, "they made several mistakes. First, they sent their demand letter to us instead of just filing suit. Second, they included threats about exposing Paramount's toxic workplace culture and systematic abuse of employees. Unless we settled immediately." Morrison leaned forward. "Which is textbook extortion." "Third," Helen said, pulling up another document, "we pulled Sabrina's employment records from her previous 3 jobs. She lasted 8 months at Prestige Events in Tampa before being let go for personnel conflicts. The 14 months at Grandview Conference Center in Miami, terminated for misuse of company time. 11 months at Atlantic Corporate Services in Jacksonville, resigned under investigation for inappropriate workplace relationships." I blinked. "She's done this before. 3 times that we can confirm. Her father's investment firm has connections throughout Florida's event management industry. He's been quietly settling complaints and securing new positions for her for 6 years." Rachel pulled up another file. "We also discovered something interesting in our investigation. Remember those equipment checks Sabrina scheduled? The fake ones to establish alibis? They weren't just alibis. She was billing those as overtime hours for herself. 3 hours per occurrence, 12 documented occurrences. 36 hours of overtime fraud at her management rate of $72 per hour base pay. Time and a half brings it to $108 per hour. That's $3,888 stolen from the company," Patricia added. "Combined with the morality clause violation, misuse of facilities, and now the attempted extortion through her legal counsel, Sabrina's lawsuit has approximately 0% chance of surviving summary judgment." Helen closed her tablet. "Marcus and Levine are reputable enough to know this, which means they're betting on us settling to avoid publicity. They don't know we have you." "Me? You're our evidence. You're articulate, credible, and you have documentation that would make the FBI jealous. If this goes to court, you testify, and their case collapses." Helen smiled. It wasn't warm. "So here's what's going to happen. We're countersuing for fraud, extortion, and breach of fiduciary duty. We're going after Sabrina personally, and her father's firm for enabling a pattern of workplace misconduct." My brain struggled to process this. "You're weaponizing me. We're utilizing our assets. You want revenge? This is revenge. Legal, permanent, financially devastating revenge." Morrison pulled out a folder. "We're also promoting you. Senior Technical Operations Manager. 15% raise, full benefits package, signing bonus, and a 3-year guaranteed contract." I stared at the contract. You said 3 months. It's been 2 days. That was before Sabrina's lawyers tried to extort us, and before we realized your documentation was good enough to build a countersuit on. Now you're not controversial. You're valuable. Helen stood. Think of it this way, Ms. Locke. You can accept this promotion, help us destroy Sabrina's lawsuit, and establish yourself as someone who doesn't tolerate corruption. Or you can decline, we settle quietly, Sabrina gets a payout, and you remain the woman who nuked her boss on a projector screen but got nothing out of it except viral infamy. Put that way, the choice was obvious. Where do I sign? Patricia slid the contract across. I read it, actually read it. Every clause, every subsection, because I'd learned exactly what happened when you didn't read contracts thoroughly. Everything Helen promised was there. 3-year term. $68,000 annual salary, up from $59,000. Health, dental, vision. 4 weeks paid vacation. And a clause that made me smile. Employee retains full administrative access to all technical systems and cannot be terminated without board approval. I signed. Dated it. Wednesday, March 19th. Excellent. Helen collected the contract. Discovery begins next week. Clear your calendar for depositions. They filed out, leaving me alone with Morrison. You know this is going to get ugly, he said. It was already ugly. Now it's just expensive and public. Sabrina's father has significant influence in this industry, and I have 40,000 people who watched his daughter commit career suicide in high definition, plus comprehensive documentation of her pattern of misconduct. I'll take my odds. Morrison almost smiled. You're either brilliant or insane. I'm technical operations. We're all a little insane. It's required for the job. I left his office, walked back to my control room, my kingdom, and pulled up the security feeds. Normal Wednesday morning. Conference in Ballroom B, small corporate retreat in Ballroom C, video production setup in Studio 3. Everything running smoothly because I made it run smoothly. My phone buzzed. Text from Cora. Irving's on Facebook claiming you ruined his life. I pulled up his profile. Sure enough, a 3-paragraph manifesto about betrayal, privacy violations, and crazy exes. The comments were spectacular. People tagging the video, people calling him out. His own mother commenting, maybe you shouldn't have cheated, Irving. I screenshot it. Sent it to Patricia with the note. Discovery exhibit? She replied immediately. Perfect. 48 hours ago, I was being gaslit in my own control room. Now I had a promotion, a lawsuit backing me up, and my ex-boyfriend's mother publicly disowning him on Facebook. Karma doesn't always work quickly, but when it does, it's absolutely beautiful. Friday, June 13th. 3 months after the broadcast, and the universe had a sense of humor about timing. Sabrina's lawsuit collapsed exactly the way Patricia predicted. Marcus and Levine withdrew representation 2 weeks after discovery began, the moment they realized their client had lied about approximately everything. Turns out attorneys don't enjoy being made fools of in depositions. Sabrina tried representing herself for about 6 days before her father's firm quietly settled our countersuit for undisclosed terms. Undisclosed meaning enough that Paramount upgraded the entire server infrastructure, and I got a bonus that paid off my student loans. Her father's investment connections throughout Florida's event industry evaporated the moment corporate boards realized he'd been covering up a pattern of fraud and workplace misconduct. Liability is a powerful motivator for severing business relationships. Irving's post-unemployment journey was equally satisfying. After Mercedes fired him Monday evening, he tried getting hired at 3 other luxury dealerships over the following 2 weeks. All 3 declined after basic background checks revealed the viral video. He eventually found work at a used car lot off Highway 50, selling rebuilt titles to people with subprime credit. The fall from selling S-Class sedans to explaining why a Dodge Neon has 3 previous owners and a salvage title felt cosmically appropriate. He deleted his Facebook manifesto after his own mother's comment got 2,000 likes. I kept the screenshot anyway. My promotion stuck. Senior Technical Operations Manager meant I now supervised a team of 4 technicians, managed a 7-figure equipment budget, and reported directly to Morrison. The control room remained my domain. But now I had actual authority to make decisions instead of just keeping things running while Sabrina took credit. The compliance conference video became an industry legend. I still got recognized at trade shows. Someone created a meme using a freeze frame of Sabrina's face the moment she realized what I'd done. It circulated through corporate event management circles for weeks. Professional satisfaction and viral infamy turned out to be surprisingly compatible. Cora and I met for drinks at the Bohème on Friday evening. Yes, the same restaurant where Sabrina posted her Valentine's Day Instagram story. Petty? Absolutely. Satisfying? Incredibly. So, Cora said, raising her wine glass, 3 months later, how does victory taste? Like a 15% raise and the knowledge that my ex-boyfriend sells salvage title vehicles to people with bankruptcy records. That's beautiful, truly. I sipped my drink. Remember Irving's supposed sister in Jacksonville? The one he claimed to visit on Valentine's Day? The alibi sister? I confirmed through his Mercedes HR records during discovery. He's an only child. There never was a sister. He invented an entire sibling just to have an alibi for his Valentine's dinner with Sabrina. I knew from his phone location data back in February that he lied about being in Jacksonville, but I only confirmed the sister was completely fictional when his employment records came through discovery. Cora nearly spit out her wine. He invented a whole person. That's commitment to lying. Wrong kind of commitment, but still. The restaurant was exactly as overpriced as Sabrina's Instagram had suggested. $45 entrees, ambient lighting designed to make everyone look 10 years younger, waitstaff who introduced themselves like you should already know their names. But tonight, I could afford it. Tonight, I was celebrating not just surviving workplace corruption, but systematically dismantling it with documentation and tactical technology deployment. You know what the weirdest part is? I said. I'm actually happy. That's not weird. That's called winning. No, I mean genuinely happy. I love my job. I have a team that actually respects technical expertise. Morrison trusts me to make decisions. I'm not constantly watching my back or documenting every conversation in case someone tries to weaponize it against me. Cora tilted her head. That's what normal employment feels like. You just had a terrible boss. I had a terrible boss, a cheating boyfriend, and thought I had zero leverage. Then I realized I had all the leverage. I just needed to use it. You nuked them both from orbit with security footage and spreadsheets. That's not leverage. That's strategic warfare. Strategic warfare with proper documentation and legal compliance. I raised my glass. The best kind. We toasted. The restaurant hummed with Friday evening energy. Couples on date nights, business dinners, celebrations. Normal people having normal evenings without workplace drama or viral scandals. I'd earned this normalcy. Fought for it with timestamps and encrypted backups and the willingness to burn every bridge necessary to protect myself. My phone buzzed. Text from Morrison. Heads up. We just landed a contract with a major tech company for their annual conference. They specifically requested you by name. Apparently, they saw the video and appreciated your technical precision and strategic problem solving. Your reputation precedes you. I showed Cora the text. You're getting hired because you publicly destroyed your boss. I'm getting hired because I'm good at my job and I don't tolerate corruption. The public destruction was just proof of concept. That's the most Beatrix Locke sentence ever spoken. The check arrived. I paid it without flinching. $68,000 annual salary and a countersuit settlement made $45 entrees feel reasonable instead of extravagant. Walking out, I passed the table where Sabrina had likely sat for her Valentine's dinner 3 months ago. Different people sat there now, laughing about something, oblivious to the irony. The world moved on. Scandals became stories. Videos became memes. And people like me, people who documented everything, trusted systems over personalities, and understood that control rooms were kingdoms, we survived. More than survived. We won. Turns out the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served in 4K resolution with time-stamped metadata and legal documentation, broadcast to 300 witnesses, and followed up with a countersuit that pays off your student loans. And honestly, I wouldn't change a single frame,